open from her front passage to her breastbone, like the murder previous. But this time, he took it a step further. He did not redress her. He reached in, stretched out her intestines, and draped them over her right shoulder. He then took his knife, and he sliced out her uterus, her womb, and took it with him. As a bit of memorabilia, as a trophy perhaps, who knows? This is the sort of sick man, sick killer that we are now dealing with. We've had 2 brutal, horrible murders, and a man that takes women's body parts with him to remind him of who he has killed. So, we've had victim number 2. Not far, not long in between them, 31st of August and the 8th of September. But at her feet, lying there at Annie Chapman's feet, was none other than a leather apron. So the police are going, fantastic! We're after him, we've got him, the right man, we're on the right track. Yes, get in, lads. I don't know about you, but I think Jack the Ripper was just a little bit more clever than that. He simply leaves behind a leather apron at the scene of the crime, and the police are still going to be after the wrong man. And they continued to do so. And we're going to continue to follow after that same man, because so far, we're still on the hunt for the leather apron. But it won't be long before we find out how Jack got that iconic title. Because let's face it, you wouldn't all be here if this was a tour about the leather apron, would you? It doesn't really have that same sort of grit and gore to it now, does it? Not the whole sort of murderous kind of aspect. Exactly. 6 sorry lot. I played just from the beginning, didn't I? Right, follow me this way. Okay, just a quick little pit stop here. Just while we're outside it, I can't walk past this building and not mention it. This is a beautiful Christ Church, the iconic white chapel that towers over the district. And if you just look at it in comparison to buildings beside it on Fournier Street, you will see such a difference. You will see how this place was a haven. It was, angelic, beautiful, almost, virginal, kind of standing there and all in white. And then you had the dirty East End right next door. And it's likely that our victims and our killer would have walked past here on a daily basis, as we are this evening. But if churches don't tickle your fancy, maybe this one on the corner will, this building here. This is the 10 Bells Pub. And this pub as well was here back in 1888. It's so important on our tour because our final victim was drinking here the night that she was murdered. Now they've stripped it back to the original paintwork above the door, the original sign hanging back outside, and some of the tiling inside the building is original as well. Now I'm told they have changed the toilets, but the smell might suggest otherwise. But we finished the tour further down the road this evening. If you get a chance and you're free, go in there for a wee gin and tonic. Why not? Sure, keeping tradition with the story. But I need you to remember the 10 Bells Pub, and over here, where this building site is, used to be a street called Dorset Street. What was it called?
Dorset Street.
Lovely, Dorset Street. And this was where our final victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was murdered. So she was drinking in the what pub? 10 Bells Pub, and was murdered on what street? Great. You've got to remember that for the end of the tour, okay? Because we're not going to finish here because of lots of lovely photos to show you, and it's too noisy here. But at the end of the tour, for our final victim, I want you to remember 10 Bells Pub and Dorset Street. Guarantee you remember the pub's name before you remember the street's name. I had you lot pegged from the start. Right, next stop. We're going to find out finally how Jack got that iconic title. This way. How did Jack get that iconic title? Well, it was on the 27th of September. The Central News Agency, who were the biggest media hub back in 1888, they received a letter, and it was written in blood red ink, because that's just so much more dramatic than black ink. And the letter looked like this. I've got a copy of it here. It's very old, you can see there. Very neat handwriting, yes? If this letter is from our killer, is he in fact an educated man? Because at times they were thinking, no, he couldn't possibly have been. He had to be being one of the homeless men, one of the men who's lurking around the corners waiting for the women. But I'll read you what the letter said. Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit flipping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to scream. How can they catch me now? The next job I do, I'll clip the lady's ears off and I'll send them to the police officers just for jolly. Wouldn't you? My knife's so nice and sharp. I want to get to work right away. Good luck. Signed, Jack the Ripper. P.S. They say I'm a doctor now. And you think I'm putting in the ha-ha for common effect? Well, no. Hashtag ha-ha was not a 2014-15 thing, but Jack the Ripper apparently was well on to that trend back in 1888. In his letter, he not only wrote ha-ha, but he underlined it as well, just, to really impact what he was trying to say. So there we have it, folks. A serial killer trying to front as a comedian. The worst combination we could possibly have. Now, I said to you at the beginning of the tour that I'm here to give you the pieces of the puzzle, to tell you exactly what happened, in the order that it happened in. But you've got to make the decisions for yourself. The first piece of the puzzle that you need to decide upon, did Jack really write this letter? Now, I'll give you a few theory choices. Yes, the letter is from our killer. His name was Jack the Ripper. That was his title. He wrote this letter because there may be a few things further into our tour that link us to this letter. One theory. Second theory. No, it couldn't possibly have been our killer that wrote this letter. It was a copycat. Someone who wanted in on the story. Jack the Ripper was a down-and-out man, uneducated, didn't think about what he did before he did it. There's no way he could have possibly written a letter like this. Someone was getting bored of the story with the leather apron and wanted to put a bit of spice into it. Second theory. Third theory. It was the Central News Agency who wrote this letter. They sent it to themselves. For if they were to be the ones receiving the letter, they would of course make the most moolah when they sold all of their papers talking about Jack the Ripper and how they had the exclusive because Jack was only talking to their newspapers. So what do you think? Was this all just a massive big marketing hoax? And whoever their marketing director was should have definitely got a pay rise because we're standing here in 2017 on a Jack the Ripper tour because it's the Jack the Ripper tour, not the leather apron tour. Yeah? So you all tonight may have different opinions, might be a strict divide, but that's all right. Follow it, guys. Follow that little trail. Follow exactly where your mind is taking you tonight, and I'll hopefully find out at the end from a few of you what you think. But now we're moving on to the night of the double event. 2 murders in the space of 45 minutes on the night of the 30th of September. 30th of September and 2 murders. Now our first victim was Liz Stride, and she was Swedish, and had just recently come over to the East End of London to make her fortune like so many others did before her. She was murdered in Duckfield Yard, which unfortunately was blown up in World War II, so I can't take you there. But my boss has done a little superimposed picture to show you what the entrance of it used to look like. Now, if you look at the taller of the 2 black and white buildings, you'll see this spinning wheel here. And in through this is a little alleyway that opened up into a small courtyard, about the size of what we're currently standing in. And there's a few houses and apartments dotted around that courtyard. Now, one man who lived there was a man named Louis Deemshitz. Yes, Louis Deemshitz, you did hear correctly. And he was on his way home from work on his horse and cart. And as his horse approached the mouth, the entrance of the alleyway, it completely refused to go any further forward. Now, Louis was tired and he was cranky. It's 1 a.m. and all he wants to do is go to bed. But his horse is dead set on not moving. And if any of you have worked with horses before, they are stubborn animals when gets down off his cart and he takes his riding crop and he starts to flick around on the ground because he assumed that it was a cat or a dog or something that had just spooked the horse and got under its feet. It was pitch black in the courtyard. Not one light, not even a gas lantern. He could not see a thing in front of him. But as he's hitting the ground, he's starting to hit something quite hard. And he goes, that's a body. And I bet you I know who it is. I bet you that's my wife. She's come out here looking for me, drunk, and has passed out. Ah, the old bat. Well, to teach her a lesson, I'm just going to leave her there. And he did. He stepped over his wife's body, left her there, with a little chuckle to himself, thinking, oh, she'll get a shock when she wakes up in the morning with a massive hangover. Gets into his house, of course, and who does he find tucked up safe and sound in their marital bed? His wife. So when she's in there, who has he left out in the mouth of the alleyway? He cautiously takes a set of matches off the mantel because he does not know what he is going to find. And he walks through that courtyard and he lights up that match. And someone got a new engine for Christmas, apparently. He lights up that match in the courtyard and it's only lit for 3-4 seconds. But that's all he needed. It was long enough for him to find the body of Liz Stride. And he could see that her throat had been sliced from... Are you all alive? Yeah? Left to right how many times? Twice. Right. Okay, there we are. We're all still there. The same marks, guys. There we have it. The reason why I call it the official member victims. They all had the exact same markings. Slicing of the neck from left to right twice. He is being here. So what else did we expect to happen to her? Ears. Maybe, oh, not quite ear, jumping ahead, but close. Very, very close. Yeah? Because of the letter?
She's cut from down up and over against our pull down.
But that's what we would expect, right? That's the way our story's going. Serial killers are creatures of habit. They like to do the same thing every time, or if not, take it a step further. Yeah, they love to keep it the same. But this murder was different. It was unique. Because she only had her throat sliced. She wasn't ripped open. She hadn't had her intestines pulled out. Now, that's quite strange, because like I said, the serial killers, when they get used to doing something, that's how they do it. They continue to do it. Creatures of habit. The same, or if not more. Taking it further as they grow more confident with what they're doing. So why? Why would our killer, who's slowly progressing with his murders, why would he simply stop by slicing the throat again? Maybe he was interrupted. Exactly. This is the theory of the night of the double event. He had set out to do more to Liz Stride, but he got interrupted by Louis on his horse and cart coming home through that alleyway. And because the horse and cart were blocking the alleyway, Jack the Ripper would have still been in there when Louis Doomships was there flicking around on the ground with his riding crop. That is what they believe has spooked the horse. He was mid-kill when Louis arrived home in the dark. He didn't expect for him to come home. So Jack would have been standing there in the courtyard, knife at the ready, probably thinking, this is it. I could get caught right about now. But we know that didn't happen, because Louis went inside. But maybe it's lucky that he went inside, because if he had stayed outside and explored a bit more, he may not have lived to tell the tale. But Jack was not done. His thirst and his hunger for killing that evening had not been fulfilled. He clearly didn't get to do to Liz what he had set out to do to her. And that made him so angry and frustrated. And he took all of that anger out on the body of his next victim, Catherine Eddowes, who, like I said, was only found 45 minutes later. So it was extremely quick work. He just wanted to get it done that evening. Didn't get to do it to her, so because he was a creature of habit, he had to do it to somebody else. Was Catherine planned? Or was she just in the wrong place at the wrong time? We'll find out soon. But before we move on, the mortuary photograph of Liz Stride. Our first victim on the night of the double event, otherwise known as the one who got off lightly. Now personally, I don't think getting your throat sliced twice is getting off lightly. But in comparison to what happened to Catherine Eddowes, trust me, she most certainly did get off lightly. So we're following his footsteps that evening to Mitre Square, where they found Catherine this way. was our second victim on the night of the double event. Now, believe it or not, she had got herself arrested that very same evening. Now, how do you manage to get yourself arrested, taken into your local prison, and then end up being a river victim all in the same evening? I mean, really, that woman's luck was not good on the night of the double event, was it? She basically, behind us here, there's a little church that stands on an island, and it's called St. Boltoff Church. And prostitution was illegal back then, and if they were seen to be, loitering around waiting for men, the police would arrest them. However, if the women were seen to be standing looking up at the building, then they let them go about their own business. But on the night of the double event, Catherine was ridiculously drunk. I mean, you wouldn't tell it from her picture. There she is, looking very serious, very confident there. But she got herself so drunk that she pulled up her skirt, she was splashing her underwear, she was singing, she was dancing, and impersonating a fire engine. Nemo, all this thing, and a new woman, woo, great time. So of course the police were like, sorry love, this is exactly what we don't need right now. We're taking you in, it's 8 p.m. You're in 8 p.m. She was taken into a local prison. Just down the road. At 1 a.m. they released her because they needed the cell space. She'd sobered up as well. And the guy said to her, the police officer said, Catherine, get yourself into a doll's house. Do not be coming up back towards St. Boltoff's Church. And she just said, good night, me old cock. And away she went. And of course, we know how her story ends. She did not get herself into a doll's house. She walked straight back up towards the Boltoff's Church for a night's work at 1 a.m. At 1 a.m. the body of Liz Stride was found. We believe that about 5-10 minutes after she left the prison, she came into contact with our murderer, round about where we crossed the road. And her body was found right here in Mitre Square, or rather what's left of Mitre Square, because this monstrosity of a building went up in literally the last 12